Protection and shielding is what we're going to be talking about today. I think it's very, very necessary at this moment in time, and I'll explain why in a minute, but first let's do the introduction. Alright, so protection and shielding. I'm probably going to do a series over the next couple of weeks. It'll be today, which will be a general discussion. And then next week, and possibly the week after, I'll do some book reviews. So I'm going to be looking specifically at the Magical Shield by Frater U, and also Jason Miller's book, Protection and Reversal Magic. Now the reason I'm doing this, the circumstances we're in at the moment, it's overwhelming for a lot of people. You know, basically the world's just gone fucking mad. The easiest way to put it. So we've had the pandemic, which it seems like everybody thinks we are now out of, but please be warned, it's not over yet. It's still going to linger around, and you know, even though, you know, in South Africa all the everything's been lifted, so we don't have to wear masks in shops and things like that anymore. So everybody's gone crazy and is hugging and kissing and passing germs around again, and it's not completely over. So we'll probably see a return with everything that's happening. But, you know, it's not just the pandemic, which has been causing a lot of stress for a lot of people. And, you know, even if it hasn't affected you, or if it affected you directly, it's affected you in some way. It could be stress and worry for loved ones who have gotten ill and have died or have come close to death. So there's a lot of stress that's happened over the past 2 years. And now we've got this whole abortion problem in the US, which is just fucking ridiculous. You know, there's a lot I could say about this, but if I do, I'm going to start swearing my head off, and you know, this channel may just get shut down. To put it mildly, to put it simply, if you are supporting the whole, or supporting the courts and supporting the whole movement that women should not be able to have a say, and women do not deserve to have control over their own bodies, and you are anti-abortion, anything of that nature, supporting the courts, you're a fucking idiot. Put it simply. And it's not even just that, it does carry on, it continues. We have the LGBTQ plus community that is being silenced. I was watching a TikTok the other day, lesbian woman, her channel is completely family friendly. There's nothing bad about it. It's just fun stuff. And she got reported as having lewd content, and her channel was banned, shadow banned or banned, I don't know what it was, but it had a warning put on it. Lewd content. And there was nothing lewd about it. It was just her just doing funny things. Nothing sexual about it, nothing at all, but she was silenced. And apparently this is going around. A lot of the LGBTQ plus community people on TikTok are being silenced. And again, it's pathetic. It really is pathetic. If anybody is supporting that, you need to go and dig yourself a hole, really. All right. Let's actually get into what we need to do. So this isn't just affecting people physically. The thing when it comes to protection and shielding and things like that, and this is actually something that Frater U talks about in his book, which I'll get into more detail next week. The instant thing is protection needs to be physical. Yes, we do need physical protection, but especially when it comes to people in a magical community, and it's not just a case of people throwing curses around and things like that you have to shield yourself from. It also extends to people who consider themselves to be empath. If you are empathic, you are going to be taking on a lot of emotions, especially at this time, because there are a lot of emotions going around. Emotions are just so heightened at the moment, it is difficult to actually get away from it. Now, I was having a chat with Kai about this whole thing, and something they said was very interesting. They put it in a really, really good way. What you need to do is create a bomb shelter, a bunker for yourself. And whenever you need to, you remove yourself and you put yourself in this bunker, in this shelter. And that allows you to step back and just take a moment. Because if you are being bombarded and hit by emotions left, right and center, as you probably are at the moment, you are going to react. And that reaction might not be the best course of action that you can take at that time. So if you can remove yourself, put yourself into this protected space, into this bomb shelter, into this bunker, you can assess the situation, you can take a step back, you can take a breather, and then you can take action. You can figure out what the best action is to actually take in that moment. And that's really what needs to happen, because if we are being hit with one thing and reacting to it immediately, usually that reaction isn't the best option, and then it's just going to keep going backwards and forwards. So you need to remove yourself from the situation, take a breather, take a look at what's happening, figure out the best course of action, and then take that action instead of your immediate reaction. And this is where shielding and protection comes in very handy. So it's not just about protecting yourself physically. And as I said, Frater U in the first chapter of his book actually goes in very extensively into examining the progress of magic, but how that progress has come to affect body, mind and soul, or body, mind and psyche, enveloping all of these aspects of our being. So very, very good book so far. I'm still reading it. I will review it next week, as I said, and speak about some ideas from the book of how to actually shield yourself. Now, people who do consider themselves empath, there is something we've actually discovered or realized. What seems to be happening is the community is kind of telling empathic people that, sorry about the banging and everything, they are painting the outside of the building, so they're just patching up and whatnot, so it's going to be banging throughout. The community seems to be telling people that because they are empathic, they don't have a choice but to feel this. So you are going to get bombarded by emotions. It is going to bring you down. It is going to hurt you. It is going to just do you in, basically, and you don't have a choice. That's who you are, and that's what's going to happen. That's wrong. You can learn to control it. You can learn to switch it off and then switch it on again. You can learn to switch it off and switch it on to a certain degree, so you only take in a certain amount. You can learn to do this. So you know, if anybody in the community is telling you, this is it, this is your path in life, you have to do this, and you have to feel all this pain and emotion and everything else, it's bullshit. You can learn to do it. How to teach somebody or tell them how to actually control it is kind of difficult, because it is different for everybody. I, not too long ago, had a conversation with somebody, and their experience of how they interacted with their beast, that I call it, is very similar to the experience that I had many years ago. And at that time, I completely switched my emotions off for a period of 2 or 3 years. And I had to actually switch them back on again. But through that whole process, I learned how to actually control what comes through and what doesn't come through, the extent of it and everything else. So because the experience was so similar to mine, I could help that person and guide them through it. Unfortunately, there are a lot of people who are empathic, who I find it very difficult to help and actually guide and advise in how to actually go through this whole process of controlling it. So try and find somebody in the community who has had the same experience as you have, and has actually come to the point where they can actually help themselves. And they'll probably be able to help you and guide you through the process themselves, or help you with the process yourself. So it is kind of difficult to guide people in that. I can give you pointers, I can give you ideas. Whether it's going to help you, I don't know. As I said, everybody experiences it differently. So, but what I'm trying to say here is, it's not impossible. It can be done. So don't think that you are stuck in this for the rest of your life, and you cannot get out of it. You're going to have to just go through this pain and anguish for all eternity. It's not like that. So shielding is one of the good ways to, or one of the places to at least begin and start. So as I said, I just want to talk about that generally today, and tell you that I will be reviewing these books. So if you want to pick them up and read them between now and next week, I'll be doing The Magical Shield by Frater U first. Whether I do both books next week at the same time, I'm not sure. I may do Jason Miller's the week after. So if you want to pick up The Magical Shield by Frater U and read that between now and next week, do so. And then we can actually, I'll review it, and you know what I'm talking about while I'm reviewing it. So I should make it easier. I think when it comes to shielding, there are some simple methods. You can really, really simply imagine yourself in a protective space. What you can do is actually set up a trigger as well. So what you want to first do is, this is one method, and it's very simple, straightforward. So you're going to imagine yourself in a bubble, and that bubble is blocking everything that you do not want to receive. Okay, very similar to creating a magic circle. In fact, you can actually create a magic circle which is protective in nature, and you can build that imagery up. All right, then what you want to do is you want to create a trigger. It can be a phrase, it can be a certain action. You know, you don't want to just make it simple like click your fingers, because if you're talking to somebody and all of a sudden you do this, it'll go up and you'll block anything that this person is sending you. And it may be love and caring and everything else, which you actually do want. But this is going to be your magic bunker, your bomb shelter. So create some kind of phrase or an action or something like that, so that when you do that, it immediately goes whoop, it goes up, and you are in this protective space in your magical bomb shelter. And then when you need to take it down, when everything's safe again, you do another action or say another phrase, and it brings it down. It's a bit like when we train in doing Reiki. There's a switch you use a switch on and a switch off. So it may just be something simple like Reiki on and Reiki off. When you are getting into a session, I usually, put my hands in prayer position in front of my heart, and I used to say something. Now I just imagine this switch going on and this energy flowing through me. But you can do that, and then you just say Reiki on. So same thing here. You can do protection on, protection off, or say a phrase like, "I now enter my magical bomb shelter." Something, whatever it is, whatever you want to actually set up as that switch. So it's a switch that you switch on the protective shield, and then you do or say something which switches it off. So when you feel safe, switch it off. When you need it, switch it on. All right. So when you are feeling overwhelmed with emotions, you're being bombarded with emotions, then you can do the phrase, switch yourself on, and you can actually take that time and that space to actually take a step back, take a breath, and figure out the next move, instead of being just hit and hit and hit with the emotions and feelings and pain and suffering and anxiety. You can actually just take a step back. That is the main thing I wanted to actually talk about today, because of the emotions that are flying around at the moment. But when it comes to magical protection and shielding, it covers a lot of things. It can be curses from other people. It can be physical protection that you may need, especially if you are being attacked by people physically and emotionally, mentally, spiritually. All of these aspects, you can use magical protection and shielding in order to keep yourself safe. It could be, as I say, physical attacks. It could be emotional attacks. It could be mental attacks. And it doesn't just need to be magically or originating from a magical source, such as another magician or another witch. Whether people practice magic or not, they need protection. And this magical protection and shielding can help everybody. So it's going to cover a lot of things. But yeah, as I said, just pick up the book Magical Shield by Frater U, and we will discuss that one next week in more detail. So I'll see you then. Have a good one. Cheers.